The issue of climate is really the critical, the existential issue of our time. The science has been in for over 30 years. We know that the problems that our children and grandchildren face will be immense.
Clip right there from Beyond Climate being featured this Friday at the Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival. You know this gentleman, David Suzuki, back on the BT Couch. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
You opened this film, too, and we look at the problems and possibilities of climate change in BC with two revolutionary and quite simple words: I'm staying. Why is that mindset so important?
Well, I think when you stay in a place rather than move away from the problems, then you're committed to solving the issue. I think we're too mobile species now, and I meet a lot of people that say, oh yeah, well, it's getting tough now, but I'm going to move north and hang out somewhere else. And you got to stay in a place and fight to protect that place.
Well, this film showcases how people have fought in the Haida Gwaii, Whistler, Blackcomb, of how climate change is really impacting these environments, and coastal communities are saying, hey, look, we are pro sustainable development. But when we look at how to shift the change in direction of climate change, what is the ultimate starting point?
Well, we're faced now with the reality that it is very, very late. The warnings came in 1988. Scientists meeting in Toronto said, look, the evidence is in. We're warming the climate through our use of fossil fuels. They called for a 20% reduction in 15 years. That was the call. If we had taken that call seriously, we would be so far ahead. But no, we've delayed and delayed. And then we had 9.5 years of Harper, who said, we can't do anything about global warming. It'll destroy the economy. So he elevated the economy above the atmosphere that gives us air to breathe, that gives us weather, climate, the seasons. So now it's very, very late. That film you showed a clip from was made before the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change special report last October that said we're very, very far along. If we don't limit temperature rise to 1.5 degrees above industrial levels by the end of this century, climate chaos is going to result. And they said we have to reduce our energy use, our emissions, by 45% by 2030. 45%!
How do we do that?
Well, we don't invest our money in pipelines that have to be used for dozens and dozens of years in order to pay that money back. We have to now get onto the new agenda, which is renewable energy. Energy drives modern society. There's lots of it. There's lots of it coming every day. The sun gives us all of this energy. And now we have to use that energy in the same way that plants have done. And I think, you know, the budget that BC has come out with that you've just talked about is a reflection of the fact that governments can now move us to doing the right thing.
You know, I want to point that out because we were actually talking about this during the break when Carol James, our BC Finance Minister, was talking about some of these items. Up to $6,000 credit on the purchase of a zero-emission vehicle, $2,000 to replace fossil fuel home heating systems with electric heat pumps. Is the BC government doing enough to get these habits to change?
No, certainly not doing enough. But this is the kind of change that we have to have. We have to give incentives to start doing the right things. There's a lot that we individually can do in our homes. Governments can help by giving us more information. How do you do it? What I find as I speak across the country, people know that there's a problem. They want to do something, but they don't know what it is that they can do. And so we need the incentives, but we also need information to educate people.
Well, you're part of that with this piece right here, and I think sometimes it can be overwhelming with the way our habits exist today. But you tell a very compelling story at the end of this film, too, about the importance of sockeye salmon back in 2009 of, is there still a chance to change these habits?
There are a lot of people, especially young people now, are giving in to despair. And I've just spent 3 days in meetings, and I've been shocked with people who say, my teenage kids are saying, Dad, it's too late. You know, what are we going to do? Am I going to be dead by 2030? Like, I've been really shocked at this. And the problem is, it's very, very dire, and we're not doing enough. And young people are feeling the weight of that because it's their future that's at stake. So the first thing you have to do is embrace the idea look, we can't go on the way we have. We've got to make the change. And the target now is 45% reduction in energy use by 2030. We've got 10 years to really make the massive changes. Once you do that, opportunities open up all over the place. But you don't invest your money in what is really a sunset industry. BC is still, even with the Greens being part of the government, BC is investing in liquefied natural gas. That's a very energy-intensive source. It's still a fossil fuel. We got to get off that. And it's not liquefied natural gas, it's liquefied frack gas. And fracking is one of the dumbest ways that we have of getting energy. Let's go to what nature gives us, which is sunlight. And we're smart enough to be able to use that. But now we have a very limited amount of time to make the transition.
Well, this film hits on that priority, and this Friday night at the Centennial Theatre. It will be screened, vimff.org for all of the details. You guys going to do a Q&A with the filmmakers?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, get out there, support it. The discussion will continue. David, thanks for coming by.
Good to be here.
Appreciate having you on as always. Burnaby South is our next stop. Greg